It wasn't until I saw the second hiker strung up in the trees like a marionette, his face slack, skin mottled green, lips twitching as though whispering to the leaves, that I realized we were never supposed to leave the forest. We'd turned off the trail near dusk, searching for a shortcut back to the parking lot. The sun had already begun to bleed orange through the treetops, casting streaks of amber light onto the mossy ground. The four of us, me, Maddie, Sarah, and Jonah, were experienced hikers. We weren't reckless, but when Jonah spotted what looked like an old ranger's path, overgrown and narrow but walkable, we decided to follow it. Just a mile or two more, and we'd cut an hour off our hike. That's what we thought. The air changed the moment we veered from the trail. It wasn't just the silence, though that was the first thing we noticed. No birdsong, no chirping insects. The wind had stopped moving, and the leaves hung heavy and still. The smell was damp, earthy, but not in the usual sense. It was richer, almost metallic, as if the soil had been soaked in old blood. We pressed on, the path tightening around us with every step. Thorn vines snaked up from the underbrush, seeming to coil closer when we weren't looking. Sarah joked nervously that the forest didn't want us there. Jonah laughed it off, but Maddie frowned. She had stopped to stare at a tree, its bark riddled with holes like hollow eyes. "It's nothing," I said, but even then I wasn't sure I believed it. When we heard the first whisper, we all froze. It was low, just beneath hearing, like a voice carried on fog. Maddie turned to me, eyes wide. "Did someone say my name?" We stood still, ears straining. Nothing, just that thick, oppressive silence again. Jonah shook his head and muttered, "This is stupid. We're turning around." We agreed. But when we turned to retrace our steps, the path was gone. We searched in widening arcs, calling to one another through the trees, but every direction looked the same. Endless trunks, overgrown roots, vines like veins running through the forest floor. The air thickened, humid and syrupy. Maddie breathed in with a shudder and whispered, "It smells like something's rotting." That's when we found the first man. He was suspended above us, tangled in vines. At first, we thought he was dead. His eyes were open, unblinking, lips pale and parted. His clothes were torn and soaked through, moss blooming across his chest. I reached for him before I thought better of it, calling up to ask if he was okay. That's when his head turned. Not quickly, more like the forest moved him. His neck twisted in a long, slow arc until his face was looking down at us, mouth twitching, eyes unfocused. And then he smiled. A long, slow, unnatural grimace that cracked the dry skin at his cheeks. We screamed and ran. No direction, just away. Branches clawed at us like fingers. The vines moved beneath our feet. I tripped once, falling hard on packed earth. From the ground, I noticed something strange. The forest floor wasn't soil. It was roots. Layers and layers of thick, gnarled roots, pulsing slightly beneath their moss covering, like a breathing skin. We didn't stop until we reached the clearing. It was circular, unnaturally so, with a single crumbling stone well in the center. The air here was cooler, but wrong somehow, laced with the scent of wet iron. The trees around the clearing leaned inward, their branches arching toward the well like they were listening. Jonah insisted we rest just for a minute. Maddie sat down hard, shaking. Sarah stood near the edge, staring back into the woods. "I swear I saw someone," she murmured. I followed her gaze. At first I saw nothing, just the gloom between the trees. Then, movement. A figure, standing still, face turned toward us. I blinked, and it was gone. We should have run. But our legs ached and our lungs burned, and something about the clearing felt almost safe, like a lull in a storm. Even the whispers had faded. Jonah wandered toward the well, peering inside. "It's dry," he said. "Just roots." Then he leaned closer. "Wait. No. There's something. Oh, God." He jerked back. His face went pale. I moved toward it, glanced over the edge. A face stared back. Not Jonah's reflection. Someone else. A woman, skin pale green, eyes wide, pupils blown to pinpricks. Her mouth opened slowly, and her voice, impossibly, rose from the well. "Don't drink the sap." It was so quiet, I almost thought I imagined it. Then a vine rose from the well and wrapped around Jonah's ankle. He screamed and fell, clawing at the ground as it dragged him closer. We grabbed him, Maddie and I, pulling with everything we had. More vines slithered up, thick and wet, wrapping around his legs, his torso. Something brushed my hand, soft, like petals. Jonah was yanked into the well. His scream cut off abruptly. Silence returned. Sarah vomited. Maddie sobbed. I felt numb. We didn't speak. We just left the clearing, stumbling through the woods like sleepwalkers. Things got worse from there. Time stopped behaving the way it should. The light never changed. It stayed locked in that eternal golden dusk, sun bleeding sideways through the trees. We walked for what felt like hours, days maybe, but night never came. We passed landmarks we'd seen before, 3 twisted oaks in a row, a moss-covered cairn, the man in the trees, still smiling. We stopped talking. Words felt wrong in our mouths, as though the forest was listening, stealing our voices. Then Sarah went missing. We'd only been apart for seconds. Maddie and I had turned to fill our bottles from a stream, though the water was thick and yellowish and neither of us had the nerve to drink it. When we turned back, Sarah was gone. No sound, no scream, nothing. Only a circle of mushrooms where she'd been standing. We called her name until our voices grew hoarse. And then, from somewhere deeper in the woods, we heard her answer. Only, it wasn't her. Not really. It was her voice, but hollow, like it was coming from inside a tree. "I'm fine," she said. "Come see." We didn't go. It started raining the next day, if days still existed. Thick, slow drops that left pale stains wherever they landed. Maddie caught one on her skin and screamed as it seared into her arm like acid. We found shelter under a thick grove of hemlocks, but even there, the rain found us. That night, I think it was night, we heard something moving outside the trees. Slow footsteps, wet breathing. We held our breath together, waiting. Then a voice, Jonah's, cheerful, warm. "You left me behind," it said. We didn't respond. The next morning, the hemlock branches were covered in growths, pulsing sacs of amber sap, each one containing what looked like something vaguely human-shaped inside. Arms folded, eyes closed. Maddie collapsed. I dragged her through the forest, half carrying her until we found a narrow canyon. The rock walls rose steep on either side, and between them, an old wooden staircase. It looked ancient and abandoned, but real. Human-made. We descended. The air here was cooler, drier. No vines on the walls, no trees overhead. Just the stairs, winding deeper and deeper. Maddie woke at the landing near the bottom. She looked at me with wide, glassy eyes. "They plant us," she whispered. "That's what they do. They use us to make more." I didn't understand. She lifted her sleeve. Her veins were green. "I'm thirsty," she said. "I can smell the roots." I held her while she cried. Later, I left her there. I'm not proud of it. She asked me to. said she didn't want to be one of them, but she didn't want to go on either. I followed the stairs down and down until they ended in a tunnel. Dry earth. No sound. Just a breeze. I followed it. Eventually, I emerged into the parking lot. The forest was behind me. No rain, no sounds. Just car alarms in the distance and a pale sunrise. I never went back. No one believed me, of course. The authorities searched the forest. They found nothing. No well, no vines, no bodies. Just a ring of mushrooms. And a tree. A tall, twisted tree with bark like old skin and a single face, half swallowed by the trunk. Maddie's face, smiling